So let's discuss now the topic 2 to our subjects readings in Philippine history. We have done with topic 1, which is the Philippine Constitution. We have discussed the backgrounds and the different constitutions throughout the years in the Philippines. Okay. So now we will proceed to our topic 2, which is taxation. Okay. So under taxation, we have different topics. First, we will know what is the background of taxation in the pre-colonial era. So, yung mga, ano nga ba yung mga taxes during that pre-colonial era nung hindi pa tayo nasakop or na-colonize ng other countries. And then from that, we will see the evolution of taxation, kung paano ba nagsimula ang taxation from the Spanish era or from the Spanish colonial period up to the present. And then we have also the taxation under the American rule, under Japanese occupation, kung meron. Then taxation after independence. Nakuha na natin yung ating independence from the Japanese and from the Americans. And then we have to tackle also the significance and purpose of taxation in the Philippines. Bakit nga ba meron taxation? So that is under the Constitution. Okay, the last time we have discussed the inherent powers of the states. Unang-una, meron tayong police power, the eminent domain, and of course, the power of taxation. Okay? So, ano nga ba ang purpose and significance of taxation in the Philippines? And then from that, we will also take a look to the different types of taxes in the Philippines. Okay, ang mga nakikita natin kapag bumibili tayo, ano nga ba yung mga other taxes aside from if you will land to your jobs later on, pero pang income tax. Okay, kapag ka doctor ka or lawyer ka or other professions, you have professional tax. Okay? So tingnan natin what are the different types of taxes. So let's familiarize ourselves, no? And then we have also key features in Philippine taxation system. So titingnan natin kung yung evolution ng taxation, no? Ngayon kasi meron tayong train, no? The acceleration. Tapos meron tayong create. So ano nga ba ang differences ng mga yan? And then we have also challenges. What are the challenges in Philippine taxations? Okay? So let's take a look to the other issues later on, okay, as we proceed to our discussions. Okay, so as you can see here, okay, taxation refers to the process by which a government imposes financial charge on individuals, businesses, and other entities to fund government spending and public services. So sabi natin kanina, it is imposed on individuals. Kaya nga tayo merong professional tax na sinasabi. Yung mga professionals like teachers, doctors, lawyers, other professional people, they pay their professional tax. O community businesses, mga business permits. Yan, kapag incorporation, certificate of incorporation, mga corporations, sole proprietorships. Yan, may mga taxes ang mga yan. And other entities, no? So the reason behind is that because the government needs funding and for expenditures. Okay, so diyan kumukuha ng government natin to fund finances to operate the government. Kaya nga sinasabi, tax is the lifeblood of the government. Kasi without taxes, the government cannot operate. Kasi diyan lang yung pinagkukuha nila ng source of funding, yung mga taxes na binabayad natin. So, it generates revenue to support essential services like education, healthcare, infrastructure, defense, and welfare programs. So, lahat na nakikita natin, infrastructures, roads, bridges, farm-to-market roads, mga diversion roads na yan. Yung mga funds niyan, general appropriations ang mga yan. Meaning, it comes from the Congress in aid of legislation, of course. And then, the funding comes from us through the medium of tax. Okay? Yung magbabayad natin, including the IVAT. No? Lahat ng yan. So later, makikita natin kung ano yung mga different types ng taxes. Ganon din sa healthcare services. Yung mga public hospitals, district hospitals, rural health unit. Yan. Those are government infrastructures. Those are government healthcare services. So Ang nagpapatakbo niyan is tax, no? Lahat 'yan, no? Education, mga public schools, SUCs, state universities and colleges. So, yung mga funding niyan came from the taxes, okey? So, lahat 'yan, yung mga OCDs ginagamit during typhoons, the calamity funds, everything that has, used for public expenditures, other operations or operating expense that is derived from the process of taxation. So in the Philippines, taxation plays a crucial funding in the country's development programs, public services, and infrastructure. So the primarily liable in the collection of taxes or in the regulation of taxes and in the administration of taxes is the is the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Okay, that is the BIR, naririnig natin, BIR, and that is the under of the Department of Finance. So let's take a look what is BIR. So BIR is the government agency in the Philippines that's responsible in the administration, collection, and information of taxes. So it is one of the key agencies under the Department of Finance and plays a crucial role in ensuring that it is efficient collection of taxes, revenues, which are vital for funding government programs and public services. So meaning it is the BIR is primarily responsible, reliable in the administration, pagpapatupad, collection, pangongolekta, at enforce, okay, ng taxes. Okay? Without the BIR, it cannot be brought down to the public. Okay? That is under the Department of Finance. Okay, so let's take a look to the background. Paano nga ba nagsimula ang taxation in the Philippines? Unang-una, meron tayong colonial, pre-colonial era. Meaning to say, nung hindi pa tayo na-colonize. So meron tayong tinatawag na barter and communal sharing. I think you are familiar with barter, no? I don't know if it is present pa until ngayon. Kung pupunta ka sa mga uh, rural areas, sa mga baryo, nangyayari pa rin to, no? Yung barter, yung palitan. O kung meron akong bigas, tapos gusto ko ng mais mo, so we can change, no? That's barter. It's communal sharing. Okay, so before Spanish colonization, Filipinos lived in scattered barangays or different villages. Tapos meron silang limited centralized authority, no? Because it's all dato lang dati na mamala or the barangay. So para mamuhay sila, they have their own economic activities. Okay? They relied on barter kasi wala pa naman masyadong monetary or money during that time. So ang meron lang is gamit or pagkain. Nagtatanim sila. And then they use barter as a form of economic activities. Doon sila nabubuhay. No? So that is already a form of tax, okay? That's the paid in kind, no? In terms instead of money, since hindi pa masyado naganap or kilala ang pera during that time, so one way of exchanging goods or economic activities is through barter or trade. Okay, kung meron akong bigas, kung gusto ko nung baboy niya, we will exchange. So that's how barter works during the pre-colonial era. Then, during the social classes and tributes, so Filipinos were categorized into three social classes, no? Let's go back again to the customs tradition. Then meron tayong nobles, no? The liping na mamahay and the sagigilid. So those mahalikas were exempt. Sabi natin during that time, they are exempt from paying taxes but had to accompany the dato to war. So when there is a civil war, kailangan nandun sila sa kasama nila ang dato. So parang in exchange of their um, activities in the war, they are exempt from paying taxes. Okay? So it had to be accompanied the dato to war. So the Timawa paid tribute. Okay? The Timawas, the freemen, they pay tribute to the dato and to produce the land. So in exchange of tilling the land, sila magsasaka. So in exchange noon, they are not allowed to pay tax na. So they are to produce, no? They are to till the land. So sila na yung sasaka ng property nila. So the evolution of taxation during the Spanish colonization period, yung meron ng mga Spanish people during 1521 to 1898, there is a form of encomienda system. So what is encomienda system? Okay? The Spanish introduced the encomienda system. So, nagsimula sa mga Espanyol, yung encomienda system na yan. They grant large tracts of land to Spanish officials. The Spanish officials, that's what you call encomenderos. They collected a tribute from indigenous communities in the form of goods and labor. So, since wala pa masyadong pera that time, so in exchange, of that indigenous community is in the form of goods. So, kung ano mang meron sila, kung meron silang mais, kung meron silang palay, kung meron silang bigas, kung meron silang gulay, prutas, or whatever, yun yung ite-trade nila sa mga encomenderos. Or kung wala man, at least labor, no? Yung pagtatrabaho. Yun yung kapalit. So that's encomienda system during the pre-Spanish. So that system was designed, no? Nagkaroon ng ganyan para yung resources and the wealth from the Philippines for the benefit of the Spanish crown. So ang magbe-benefit lang during that time is the Spanish people. So instead of magbayad yung mga native people noon, so kung isang lugar merong mga naitanim na prutas, naitanim na mais, naitanim na palay, so instead of paying tax, yung mga may-ari nun, mga native peoples, lahat ng produce, lahat ng mga ani, they will give back to the Spanish authorities. So that's how it works. Okay? Kung wala ka man tanim, at least you work for them. That's labor. That's exchange. That's encomienda system during that time. Okay? Kaya tayo meron tinatawag again, polo a servisyo. The polo servisyo was a forced labor system. Okay? Ito yung mga ayaw during that time ng mga sundalo natin, di ba? Wag ayaw nilang matanggal yung polo a servisyo. Okay? So polo a servisyo is a forced labor of the Filipino males between ages 16 to 60. So they are required to work for government for 40 days a year. So that was also a form of taxation in lieu of direct payment. Uh, Kesa magbayad sila, since wala nga silang enough money, so in exchange, they are forced to labor. So that's polo i serbisyo. Pero kung may mga gamit ka, may mga tanim ka, kung may mga prutas ka, that's encomienda system. You will exchange those goods. You have to exchange your produced crops to the Spanish government. So that's encomienda system. Okay? So tribute system then. So what is tribute system? It is a formal system of collecting taxes from the native population. So it is involved a paying a fixed amount of tribute which could be in cash or in kind depending on the region. Okay? So during that time, so depende sa region. Kung yung particular place na yan ay marami ng may income na, may generating income na, so they have to pay. Okay, kung wala pa, for example, kung region na yan is nagtatanim ng mga palay, yun bibigay nila. Okay? But sometimes it depend on the location, but usually it has involved money na. May mga pera na dito. So depending on the region, kung ano yung kaya nilang i-produce. So during that time, the system was later replaced, no? Through the evolve, nung nagbago ng panahon, napalitan yung sistema na yan, nagkaroon ng sedula. So the sedula system now requires to carry a certificate of indicating that they had paid their taxes. So medyo nag-evolve na yung communities, meron ng palitan, no, nagkaroon na ng pera, they required already to have sedula. So that sedula indicating that you are paying taxes. So kung meron sa sedula noon, hindi ka masyado ginagalaw, hindi ka masyado inaalipin o hindi ka masyado hinuhuli or kinukulong kasi nga you already, that is a proof that you paid your taxes. So parang hindi ka nila pwedeng apihin or ikulong or huliin because ang iyong ipapakita ay yung sedula. Yan. So that's nung nawala na, nung medyo nagkaroon na ng pera, o nagkaroon muna tayo ng barter, di ba? So after that barter, nung mayroong mga Spanish people, meron nagka-encomienda system. Or kung wala ka mga crops, use your labor, the polo is servisyo. And then throughout the years, nagkaroon ng tribute system, nagkaroon na ng pera. And then from that, since may pera na, they change the system to sedula. So you pay the sedula, that is the proof that you already paid taxes. So that is the evolution, no? During the American rule naman, 1898, 1946, nagkaroon na ng internal revenue. So the internal revenue of 1904 the Americans introduced the Internal Revenue Law, which established a more modern and centralized tax system. So this law introduced income tax, property tax, and other taxes. So nagkaroon na ng American rule. They adopted a Internal Revenue Law of 1904 na nagtatatag na magkaroon na ng modern at centralized na tax system. So nagkaroon na tayo ng income tax. Kung nagtatrabaho ka, kailangan mong magbayad ng tax. Kung meron kang pag-aari, lupa or bahay, you have to pay property tax and other taxes. Kung may business ka, business tax. So that's the internal revenue law, which throughout the years na-apply natin up to now. So cedula tax, there is still, hindi nawala, the cedula tax continued to be used during the American period. Okay? But it was notified, no? Napalitan na bago and naging mas progressive tax-based income categories. So siyempre, medyo American period yan, medyo nag-evolve na rin yung panahon, nagbago na, nagkaroon na maraming opportunities. So nagkaroon na ng mas bagong kategorya in terms of taxes. So after independence, no, nakuha natin, nag-gain natin independence natin from Japanese, nung nag-gain natin yung independence natin from the US, at nagkaroon na tayo ng 1987 Constitution, yung ginagamit na natin ngayon, nagkaroon na ng uniform and equitable tax system and na-mandate na ng Congress, sinasabi na ng Congress that it has to evolve a progressive tax system. Okay, ano ba yung progressive system? Ayun, that means that those with a higher income should pay a higher percentage of their tax income taxes. Mean to say, hindi na siya across the board. When say across the board, pantay. Hindi na siya pantay. So, ang sinasabi sa 1987 Constitution, dapat uniform and equitable tax system. So, meaning to say, progressive system. Kung mas mataas ang income mo, mas mataas ang tax mo. Kung mababa ang income mo, mababa ang tax mo. So, yun yung sinasabi, no? That the higher income should pay higher percentage of their income in taxes or in other way around. So that is now the progressive system of taxation. That is now under the 1987 Constitution. Yan yung pina-follow at ginagamit natin ngayon. Kaya tayo merong train. Yung sa train law or the tax inclusions and acceleration law, medyo nabawas yung percentages in terms of income brackets. So mamaya, let's take a look with that. Okay. So again, nagkaroon na rin tayo ng train. Ito, no? It's acted in 2018 lang. The most recent major tax reform, it makes that the tax system is simpler, fairer, and more efficient by lowering, sabi ko kanina, it's lower the income tax rates for the most taxpayers while it increases excise. So when you say excise, yung mga inaangkat natin. So binawi nila doon yung tax. Kaya kung napansin nyo, during the past years, tumaas ang taxes imposed on cigarettes, taxes imposed on alcoholic beverages and other products no, that has something to do with excise. Okay, kaya nagmahal bigla ang sigarilyo, nagmahal ang alak. Kasi nilagay nila doon yung imposition ng taxes kesa i-impose siya sa income tax, no? So binaba yung income tax. O income tax na yan is yun yung kinikita mo. So for example, ako working, so may income tax ako, babawasan yun ng automatically, okay? So nagbaba sila ng rate, binaba nila yung rate ng income tax and they impose to the excise tax. So doon nila ibinawi sa mga excise tax. Kaya biglang tumaas yung mga revenues for cigarettes, revenues for beverages, alcoholic beverages, and other things. Okay? So ganun nangyari dun sa train, dun sa acceleration and inclusion. So that revenue generated from the train is intended to fund infrastructure and other social services. So kaya nagkaroon tayo ng maraming build program during that time. It's 2018. So kasi nga tumaas yung generations from excise taxes from cigarettes and other things, kaya nagkaroon tayo ng improvements on other infrastructure projects and including social services as well. Okay, so what is now the significance and purpose of taxation in the Philippines. First, of course, we have to fund government services kasi saan nga ba kukuha naman ng pera ang gobyerno kundi sa taxes, wala namang iba. Okay, so the taxation is the primary source for revenue kaya nga siya lifeblood of the government. So that revenue is used for essential services such as education, healthcare, infrastructure, public safety, social welfare programs, and others. Okay, so basically, that is the funding of the government services. And then we have also the economic growth and development. So taxes are crucial for promoting economic growth and development. So the government uses tax revenues, yung mga kinikita nila sa tax, to invest on infrastructure projects. Sabi na kaya 'di ba? Nung ginawa yung train, nagbawas sila sa percentages on income taxes and they imposed more percentages on the excise tax. So, since alam kasi nila na yung tao maraming naninigarilyo, let's accept that fact. Okay? Daming nagbibisyo, nagiinom, um, products from outside the Philippines, tinatangkilik kasi yan. So, they impose bigger taxes on those products and nagkaroon din ng mas higher revenues. So, nung mas malaki din kita, inilagay ngayon yan sa mga other roads. Kaya tayo nagkaroon ng build programs. Okay? Communication networks. Karoon tayo ng dito na telecommunications to sabi ni Duterte that last time is to challenge kung mga nandito na the PLDT, the smarts kaya nagpasok siya ng other telco. Pero I don't know what happened to dito now. I don't think it's still active pa or whatever. And then to facilitate other trades. So that is the economic growth and development as part of the significance and purpose of taxation in the Philippines. Next, we have social equity and redistribution. What is this? Meaning to say, taxation can be used to promote social equity and redistribute wealth. So hindi lang iisa, dapat it should be distributed from top to bottom, no? Okay, from the highest government down to the grassroots level. So that is now becoming a more progressive tax systems like it was envisioned. Katulad din sinasabi sa 1987 Constitution, it is aimed to ensure that those with higher income taxes should pay higher tax and those who have low income should have low taxes. That is what we call equality and redistribution wealth. Okay? To, of course, the greater share to support public services and social programs that benefits all citizens. O, tama nga naman din, no? Kasi kung same lang ang percentages, o yung kumikita ng 100,000 tapos kumikita ng 10,000, eh parang it's unfair din kung dun sa kumikita ng maliit. So where is social equity? Where is social justice? So that's why 1987 Constitution says that it should be equally distributed. So when you have higher income, then therefore you should have paid the higher amount of tax. Kung lower, lower. In the train, dun sa bagong train law, I think if you are earning 20,000 below, that is exempt na from tax. No, pag ang income mo is 20,000 above, saka ka lang nagkakaroon ng uh, tax impositions. Okay? Dun sa bagong train. So we have also fiscal policy. What is fiscal policy? The taxation is the kill two for fiscal policy. So fiscal policy is that how the government liquidates its assets in terms of cash. Okay? So that's the influence of the economy through other income opportunities and that is spending or how does the government spend compared to its income. Okay, so the government can adjust tax rates na nagbabago ang tax rates kasi it depends on the economic activities. Okay, the policies to stimulate the economic growth. Yung inflation, nasasabi natin kapag tumaas lahat. So paano na yon? Kailangan ba? Pag tumaas lahat ng bilihin, so yung taxes mo tataas pa rin ba? So paano na? No? So that's how they control. No? Fiscal policy addresses gumagawa yan ng mga polisiya, they make policies to stimulate economic growth, okay? How they control inflation and how they address other economic challenges that coming their ways. So paano ba pag-aaralan nila yan? So that's fiscal policy. They have to take a look. So that is already the work of the NEDA, okay? the National Economic Development Authority. Okay, that's fiscal policy. Pag-aaral nila how the taxation works, especially if there is crisis, kung merong inflation, kung may economic disruptions, so magka-create yan ng polisiya kung paano nga ba magiging matatag, no, ang fiscal policies na isang bansa. So that's how fiscal policy works. It's madugo. Okay? And of course, to conclude, that taxation in the Philippines has evolved significantly. Okay? So from the barter, no, pagka walang pampayanan, barter, palitan lang, na nagkaroon ng encomienda, okay? Encomienda system, kung anong meron ka, yun yung ibibigay mo doon sa gobyerno. Nagkaroon ng tribute, kung may pera ka na, use the money. Polo servisyo, kung wala kang pambayad, pagtatrabaho ang kailangan mo ibigay sa kanila. And then, nung may pera na, nagkaroon ng sedula as part of paying taxes. You have to buy sedula that has something to do with your tax. And then, nung nagkaroon na ng post-independence, nagkaroon na ng 1987 Constitution, nagkaroon na ng equality and justice, equally distribution, ang tax system, nagkaroon ng train, okay, nagkaroon ng create. So that's how it's evolved significantly over time. So it plays a vital role in funding government. So taxes are there to provide funding in government projects, government services, and also to promote economic growth and ensuring social equity. Okay, so this taxation, evolution, and purpose is essential in the appreciation of the impact of the lives of Filipinos and overall development of the nation. So let's take a look to the other key concepts in taxation. Okay? Meron tayong tinatawag na tax base. So what is tax base? Tax base is the amount of income, property, or goods that is subject to taxation. Now, for example, income tax. So if you are earning 20,000 pesos, that's what you call tax base. So yung 20,000 na yun lang yung kukumputin for tax. So that is tax base. Bumili ka ng sigarilyo worth 10 pesos. Okay, yung 10 pesos na yun, that is your tax base. Kung percentages niyan, yun lang yung ita-tax. Okay? So that is tax base. Okay? Kung ano yung actual amount na meron ka. Okay? So tax rate is the percentage or fixed amount that is levied on the tax base. Okay? So rates can be varied depending on the type of tax. Nagbabago yan, depende sa klase ng tax. Magkakaiba kasi income tax, excise tax, value-added tax, professional tax, magkakaiba yan ng percentages. Okay. Yung tax rate, yun yung percentage. For example, tax base mo is 20,000, that is tax base. Tax rate ngayon, for example, ang tax rate for income tax is 12%, so that is a tax rate. In case lang, I'm not sure what is the present tax rate, no, for income taxes. Okay, so that is a tax rate. Okay. Tax liability. Tax liability is the total amount of tax owed by a taxpayer based on the applicable tax rates and tax base. So yun kailangan mong bayaran. Tax liability, yung kailangan mong bayaran. Okay, so kung 20,000 yan, and then the tax rate is 12%, so magkano ang 12% ng 20,000? So that is the tax liability. Yung kailangan mong ibayad. Okay, so that is tax liability. Okay? Tax revenue. Tax revenue is the income collected by the government from the taxes. So whatever the government through the BIR collected from the people of the Philippines, that's what they call tax revenue. O the kita, no? Yung kinita nila from taxes. That's what you call tax revenue. Okay? The income collected. Okay? Tax evasion. O yan, naririnig to kapag may laban sa Pacquiao. O, di ba? Tax evasion. The illegal act of deliberately avoiding or reducing tax payments, usually by concealing income or assets. Usually, mga artista during that time, di ba, kapag merong hindi ka nagbayad, no, ng tax, so meron kang tax evasion cases. Okay? So yung company, kapag hindi nag-submit ng tax revenues yan, kakasuhan yan tax evasion. Ikaw, kapag hindi ka nagbayad ng professional tax mo, o tax evasion. Okay, so that's tax evasion. It's the kaso na pwedeng ipataw sa iyo if you will not pay tax. So that's the illegal act of deliberately avoiding or dinaya mo, binawasan mo yung tax mo. Yan. So that's tax evasion. Okay, tax avoidance. The legal practice of minimizing tax liability through lawful means such as deductions, credits, or exemptions. That's tax avoidance. Okay? Pinabawas mo yung tax mo o sa credits mo. Okay? So that's tax avoidance or exceptions. May exceptions and tax avoidance yung mga yan. Mga discounts, that's tax avoidance. Let's take a look no, kung ano yung mga other taxes in the Philippines. Pag na-encounter nyo to, so at least alam nyo kung ano-ano ang mga ito. Okay? So the Philippines has a progressive tax system that's under the 1987 Constitution. So where tax rates increase with the higher income levels. O kung mas mataas yung income mo, the higher your tax. So below are the types of taxes that individuals and businesses are required to pay. Una, income tax. So what is income tax? That's personal income tax. Kung nagtatrabaho ka, you are required to pay your income tax. Basta kumikita ka, you have to pay income tax. That is levied on the amount of individuals. Okay? The tax rates is progressive, meaning it increases as the income level arises. Kung mataas ang kita mo, mataas ang tax rate mo. Otherwise, individuals are required to file their income tax and returns annually. So, pinafile yan annually. Kung employed ka, for example, kami, employed, so yung employer namin, which is the school, will file an annual income tax at the end of the fiscal year during December, and sa January, you have to file, you have to sign BIR form, meaning to say that nagbayad ka ng tax mo throughout the years. Ganun yun. So kung professional ka, just like lawyers, doctors, engineers, architects, yan, yung mga walang employers, they will file personal income tax or professional tax in the BIR. Pupunta sila doon, then they will file that annually din. Kailangan nila yun. Especially if you have license. Matitrace kasi yan. Okay, kung nagpa-practice ka tapos wala kang records from the BIR o tax evasion ka doon. Ganon. So that's personal income tax or professional tax. Then we have corporate income tax. Corporate income tax, yung mga businesses naman to, just like the school, hospitals, malls, and business establishments. Okay, the income of the corporations and businesses. So the rates can vary depending on the nature of the business and its revenue. So depende yan sa klase ng business at sa kanyang kita. Kasi at the end of the year, meron silang income. Okay? Kung ano yung establish na income nila, so doon mag-start ang computation ng rates. Okay? So, and depende rin sa klase ng business. Okay? Kung school, pag school kasi, unang business yan, they are exempt, no? Because they giving support system to the people. O kaya sila exempt from paying taxes, these schools. Meron silang social responsibilities. And the church din, wala naman. Yeah. Okay, so here, we have the income taxes. So, ayan, yun na, updated to as of 2024 as per annual income. Sabi dito, kapag kumita ka ng 250,000, this is per year, okay? This is annually. When you say annually, it's yearly. So if you are having income, pag may kita ka ng 250,000 a year, wala kang tax na babayaran. So that's tax free, that's tax exempt. Kung 250,000 ang kita mo annually. Okay? So kung above na niyan, kung 250,000 up to 400,000, you have to pay 15% in excess of 250,000. Okay? So yun lang yung inyong babayaran. So paano nga ba yun? So 250,000 up to 400,000 o 15% lang nun ang kayong babayaran na income tax. So pag 400 to 800,000 ka naman annually, 20%. Okay? And then pag higher, 25%. Then pag higher, 30%. And kapag above 8 million ka naman annually, okay, or in excess of 35%, okay, in excess of 8 million. Okay, so parang ang limit is 35% in excess of 8 million annually na income. So that is the latest rates for income tax. Okay, so you imagine how much, no, the revenue of the government kung ilang tao, no, sa Pilipinas ay may trabaho, o, di ba? That's why they use that to expedite expenses, no, building infrastructure projects and other social services. Okay, so we have also ito, the common value added tax or the VAT. May taxes na nasa products na nabibili natin. Kung if you notice sa mga resibo, nakikita nyo may EVAT, expanded value added tax na kasama. So doon nanggagaling yan, no, sa mga nabibili natin. So that is a consumption tax levied on the sale of goods and services. The standard rate is 12% as of 2024. Okay? So mapapansin nyo sa receipt nyo, dapat nakalagay doon, VAT 12%. Ganun. So, yun yung mga nabibili sa groceries, ano pa ba, mga other services, no, establishments that is collected on the businesses in behalf of the government. Okay, so certain goods, these are exempt or subject to zero rate VAT, like necessities, exports, and certain educational educational services. They are exempt, okay, from VAT. Okay, we have excise tax. Excise tax is imposed on tobacco, alcohol, gas, and petroleum, and vehicles. So those goods and are taxed at either a fixed amount per unit or percentage of the sale price or value. So it depends. Kung sa gas yan, pwedeng ang competition yan is through per liters, per gallons, depende. No? Kapag sasakyan naman yan, of course per unit ang bilangan. Okay, ganun din sa tobacco and alcohol per bottles, ganun. So that is your excise tax. Okay. We have estate tax. Estate tax is the property of the deceased person. Yan, kapag ka may namatay, lolo mo, lola mo, yan, kailangan pang bayaran yung kanilang estate tax. So kung 20 years nang namatay yung lolo at lola mo at hindi ka pa nagbabayad ng estate tax niyan since nung death niya, o imagine how much the computation of that tax. O that is range, so sabi nito, the progressive range can be from 5% to 20% depending on the value of the estate. O kung yung lola mo is meron siyang 1 hectare na lupain, okay, so 20 years na siya nawala, i-times mo yun ng 20% yung value ng property. Let's say for example, kung nasa city yan, yung value ng property mo is 10 million times 20%. See? Times 20 years. Kung 20 years yan namatay, so that is estate tax. Okay, so that's why, kapag ka may namatay, tapos may property, you have to declare that to BIR and then you have to pay estate tax. Ganun yun. No? So, as early as possible, the better. Kasi, yung accumulations, may iwasan. O kapag ang competition kasi ng estate tax is from the time of death. So, kung 20 years na yan namatay at may property yan, maraming property, maraming sakahan yan, marami siyang farm, mas higher yung chances ng babayaran mo. So 20%. Wow, tapos times 20 years or 30 years. So sa atin kasi parang hindi masyado natin alam, no, yung estate tax. So pagka namatay, may-ari ng lupain, so wala na. So akala natin sa atin na yung property. So no, because the government also imposed estate tax. Okay? So pagka may namatay, we have to declare that to the BIR. So yearly mo din babayaran ang estate tax. Okay? So ganun yun. Okay? So we have also donor's tax. O kapag meron kang ibinigay, no, nag-donate ka ng property to your relatives or to anyone, that is also imposed donor's tax. Okay? Ayan, a tax on gifts or donations made during a person's lifetime habang buhay ka na nagbigay ka ng isang property that is considered, okay, imposition of tax, and that is donor's tax. Okay? So progressive din ang rate niyan. So from 2% to 15% depending on the amount donated or depending on the amount of the or the value of the property donated. Kung pera binigay mo, that's 2% to 15%, depende on the value. Kung sasakyan, same, depend on the value. Kung property, same, depends on the value. So, meron pa ring donor's tax yun. Okay. So, we have property real tax. I don't know if you are still familiar with this. Yun yung sinasabi nila ng mga magulang nyo kapag nagbayad na ba tayo ng amilyar? Bayad na ba tayo ng VNS? Yun yun. Kung binabayad mo yung real estate no ng lupa nyo, so dalawa yan usually. Kung may bahay ka and lupa ka, sa dalawa ang mabayaran mo, no? That's land, no? Real estate, real property tax ng land, and real property tax ng building or nung bahay na kinatatayuan ng lupa. So dalawa usually yan, no? Tinatawag natin amilyar or VNS. Okay, usually yan kapag ka nagpatayo ka ng bahay, automatically bibigyan i-impose na yan ng property tax from the word property kung ano yung pag-aari mo. Lupain at bahay. Okay, so yan. Generally, yung rate niyan is from 1% to 2% based on the assessed value of the property. So depende yan. Yung city, of course, mataas. Kung rural area, probinsya, medyo lesser. Depende yan sa assessed value ng property. Magkakaiba yan, depende sa assessed value. Pwede yung Tugigaraw ka, kung mismong nasa sentro, business district, mas mataas yan. Pero kung medyo mas malayo-layo ka sa sentro, medyo lesser. Ganun. So depende on the assessed value of the property. That is property tax. Okay? We have also the withholding tax. Okay? Withholding tax, yan, kami, yung mga nag-work. Okay? So collection of sources from employers, mga may employer. The employers are required to pay withholding tax, a portion of the employee's salary or a contractor fee, and to remit it to the government. So it's collected also annually by our employer, and then we will sign income tax at the end of the fiscal year or early next year. Okay, so the common part ng withholding tax is the salaries, the compensation, kung business yan, business permits, business payments, also and other payments. Okay, so that is withholding. There are some key features of the Philippine tax systems. Okay? Progressive tax system, sabi natin, dapat distributed yan. Kung higher income ka, higher tax. Lower income, pwedeng 0 to lower percentages. The Philippine tax system is progressive, especially for those who have personal income tax. So that means that individuals with higher income payment have a larger percentage of income taxes. We have also TIN, taxpayer identification number. So if you are working na or mag-start ka mag-work, your employee will require you to secure a TIN or taxpayer identification number at the BIR. Okay, sa BIR mo yan kukahanin. So every taxpayer in the Philippines is required to have a unique TIN. So dapat isa lang, hindi ko pwedeng dalawa. Dapat isa lang ang tax payer ID mo, no? Okay, so and then kung meron ka na, you have to file and payment ng taxes. Okay, kung professional ka, you have to pay professional tax. And you are required to file tax returns, okay, annually or quarterly depending on your income. Okay, so proceed lang to the BIR because they are the ones who administers tax sections. Okay. So tax credits and deductions. So, nangyayari ito sa expenses, which usually kapag ka may business and companies, o personal deductions. Okay? Kung ano ba yung mga yan? For example, education, wala nga, di ba? Because they have a common goal or for common purposes. Charitable donations din. Okay, deductions and business expenses related to production. Tax amnesty and compliance program. Tax amnesty usually declared by the president. Siya lang nagsasabi yan. For example, yan nangyayari yan sa mga estate tax. Just like Duterte before. Duterte, nung panahon niya, nagkaroon siya ng executive order na i-abolish ang estate tax. Nagkaroon ng tax amnesty. Meaning to say that a deceased person, kung 20 years yan o wala nang interest rates yun. So kung ano na lang yung present value, yun na lang ang babayaran. Wala na yung interest. So that's tax amnesty. So the government occasionally offers tax amnesty program. So it depends on the government, depends on the president. This allowed taxpayers to settle their liabilities with a reduced penalties or interest. Sabi ko last time, si Duterte, tinanggal niya ang interest on payment of estate tax. What are the challenges now in Philippine taxations? Una-una, tax evasions. Okay. So despite efforts of the government, ang dami pa rin nagta-tax evade, hindi nagbabayad. So, there is a big impact on the economic and the fiscal policies kasi when you do tax evasion. So there are concerns about corruptions and loopholes that allows individuals and companies to evade tax. Okay? And then, we have also inefficient tax collection. Mahirap ang pagpapatupad ng tax collection. So that's why BIR has faced criticism for inefficiencies in the tax collection. So kulang pa pala yung efforts ng BIR in the collection of taxes. Because they have lack of enforcement din siguro. There are a lot of delays in processing. We don't know. It's depend on the organizations. That is already their challenges. Okay? Then the complexity of the tax system. So the Philippine Tax Code is very complex. That's why nagkakaroon ng revisions. So we have train and now we have create. No? So the create law is the newest form of taxation in the Philippines. So let's take a look. So ito, yung train. Okay, to simplify tax. No? Nagkaroon ng lower tax kasi nga they impose primarily on the excise. Okay? Yun. They lowered income and then they put it on the excise taxes. So nagkaroon ng mixed result. The train successfully lowered the income tax and then nagkaroon ng increased revenues. Nagkaroon ng nag-contribute siya into inflation due to higher excise taxes on fuel and consumption goods. Okay, nagkaroon ng concern about the impact of cost of living for low-income household. That's why they created that. Okay? Nagkaroon ngayon ng increased government revenues. Kaya nga, di ba, during the time of Duterte, during the imposition of train, nagkaroon ng build programs, nagkaroon ng maraming bridges because of that effect. Okay, nagkaroon din ng stimulated consumptions. Okay. The objectives is to provide relief tax for businesses, to make the tax system more transparent and enhance the Philippines' competitiveness for foreign investments. So, yan, nagkaroon ng reduced corporation income tax from 30%, naging 25% na lang siya. And further 20%, o nag-lower down pa ng 20%. By 2027, so that is their approach. Okay. To aim to attract foreign investments, okay, and encourage businesses to expand. Okay, so we have also tax incentives. Yan naman is to encourage investments o mga tax incentives na yan. Yan. So nagkaroon din tayo ng flexibility on the granting incentives. How? The Fiscal Incentives Review Board to recommend and approve incentives for companies deemed to be adding significant value to the economy. O, siguro kung mas pataas yung income nung certain company na yan o nagkakaroon sila ng incentive. Yeah, so the CREATE Act have been credited with acting more foreign investment, particularly in manufacturing technology and renewable energy. Okay, so that is the taxation. So it is a fundamental aspects of the country's governance in aid of infrastructure projects, in aid of social services, which plays a national developmental economic impact and fiscal policy. So while the tax system is structured, it's aim also to support economic growth and challenges. May mga challenges din. Then, una-una dyan is yung tax compliance. Okay? Tax enforcement, pagpapatupad, may problems din. So, there are different departments nag-administer ng collections and impositions. So equitably to continue reforms lang. So the government is always improve the tax administration systems because these are essentials. Because tax is the lifeblood of the government. Without taxes, the government cannot operate and they cannot deliver what is due to the public. So that is taxation in the Philippines. Okay? So with that, we will proceed to our last topic for this term, which is the agrarian reform in the Philippines. So Do we have any mind what is agrarian reform in the Philippines? So let's take a look what are the key features of agrarian reform. So we have also the backgrounds and how it evolves throughout the years. When you say agrarian reform kasi that's primarily on how to distribute lands from the large scales landowners, from the tillers, yung mga nagsasaka during that time. They are considered the landlord kung sino yung humahawak. I mean kung sino yung nagsasaka, the landlords. And primarily to distribute lands from the landless and then ibigay kung ano nararapat dun sa mga landlords since nagsaka sila yan for almost sabi mo 10-20 years of their life. So that is now agrarian reform. So what is the goal of agrarian reform? That is to promote social justice, reduce poverty, improve the welfare of the rural populations, and foster a more equitable distribution of land resources. Sabi natin na primarily is more on the redistribution of lands. Okay? It aims to address the long-standing inequities, okay, and provide opportunities for small farmers and agricultural workers to gain ownership of the land they till. Sabi ko, yung mga nagsaka ng almost half of their lives, ibigay mo kung ano yung nararapat for them. Okay, so the department that's primarily liable for agrarian reform in the Philippines is the DAR, or the Department of Agrarian Reform. Okay. So the focus now of the DAR is to implement a comprehensive and genuine agrarian reform. Okay, they ensure equitability and land distribution. They implement ownership, agricultural productivity, and tenurial security for the farmers. So we have here the key objectives of agrarian reform. First, the land redistribution. Okay, so that is what is land redistribution? That is the transferring of land from large landowners to small farmers or tenants. So kung ikaw hasyendero, you have 50 hectares of land, and then siyempre, hindi mo masasaka yan, so meron kang mga tao. So yung mga tao na nagsasaka ng 50 hectares mo, that's what they call landlords. So kung nagsaka sila yan ng half of their lives, bata pa sila, binata pa hanggang sa nagkaanak, nagkaapo na. So you give what is due for them. So that is now the primarily goal and objectives of agrarian reform. Bigay mo. So ilan hektarya nga ba? So it's depend on the government. Kaya tayo merong DAHR. So they are liable to that. Okay, that is land redistribution. Okay, we have also economic justice. Okay, so siyempre, nagsaka sila yan ng almost whole of their life. So you give what is due. Okay, so that's ensure that those who work the land can benefit from the owner. O it leads them better livelihoods for their families. Okay? Para din sa mga anak and apo nila. Poverty reduction. So by empowering farmers with land ownership, agrarian reform aims to reduce rural poverty. Siyempre, magkaroon sila ng sarili ng property. Okay? So they can use that in future reference to alleviate poverty reduction. So ganun yun. So it increase agricultural productivity. How? When farmers own the land they till, kung sa kanila yon, of course, 100% yung income sa kanila din. Okay? So that's how increase agricultural productivity. Social stability. Let's reduce social unrest caused by inequality and land redistribution. Siyempre, nagkaroon sila ng sarili ng property. So nagkaroon ng social stability. Okay, so let's take a look to the evolution of agrarian reform. Paano nagsimula? Okay, during the pre-Spanish period, land ownership o kung may-ari ka ng lupain, before the Spanish colonization, nung wala pa mga Espanyol, yung mga natives pa lang, mga Filipino, they live in a barangay or in a village that ruled by captain or datu. So the land ownership was communal, meaning to say, walang magmamay-ari, libre sa lahat. Okay, it's communal. We have access to the fruits, we have access to the soil, and everything is available to all regardless of social class. That is the land ownership during the pre-Spanish period. Okay? So we have also the medium of exchange. Ano nga ba? Paano ang palitan? So rice served as the primary medium of exchange with money being unknown kasi wala pang pera. So kung may gusto ka isang bagay, kasi nga may barter, so ang ibabayad mo yung bigas. So that's the medium of exchange, it's the rice. So, yan yung pinakapera. Okay, the rice. So, the positive impact is that the farmers enjoyed communal land ownership kasi nga lahat nagmamay-ari, walang sino man. Okay, it's communal. So lahat. Okay, it's provide access to the fruits, to the labor, and to the sense of security. The negative impact nga lang is that it is limited access to resources and technology due to the lack of centralized system. So wala pa namang namumuno. So yung systems medyo mahina, lacking for land management, and of course on how to develop further the land. Okay, so wala pang technical know-how. So yun lang ang negative impact. Nung nagkaroon na ng Spanish era, ayun nga, again, we have the encomienda. Okay, so granting land grants to the encomiendas or the encomienderos in the area to maintain order and supporting missionaries. Karoon na ng abuse of power because they want. So the Spanish people, sinakop gusto nila sa kanila lang. So they let abuse of powers, kaya sila may forced labor, ganyan. So nagkaroon na ng tenant, and then ginawa ng mga magsasaka, yung mga tao, mga native people. So the positive impact lang is that there is an introduction of encomienda system. Meaning to say that is nagkaroon ng order lang sa structure of the land ownership. But the negative impact was the system led to the exploitation of farmers kasi nga nagkaroon ng forced labor, polo is servicio. So parang they use the opportunity, no, to work. Okay, so nagkaroon ng distribute land, the rents. Nagkaroon ng rents. Yan, yung mga Filipino naging tenants na lang. Imbis na sa kanila sana yung property. Yan. And then nung nagkaroon tayo ng First Philippine Republic, nagkaroon ng land confiscation. So Aguinaldo, the president during that time, the leader of First Philippine Republic, aimed to confiscate large estate. Kinuha niya yung mga malalaking properties, including the friar lands, yung mga lupain ng mga paring Espanyol. Okay? But this plan was never implemented due to the short-lived of Nature Republic. So that is the plan. Yun yung una niya ginawa pero hindi nagtagal kasi nagkaroon ng palitan sa gobyerno. So the positive impact lang ginawa ni Aguinaldo is to distribute the land to farmers although it was not implemented. Okay, so the negative impact, saglit lang nangyari again. So hindi natuloy yung plano. Okay, so during the American period, nagkaroon ng Philippine Bill of 1902. Ano nga ba yung Philippine Bill of 1902? It said, sabi doon, that the land ownerships limit protecting farmers from excessive land accumulation by wealthy individuals and corporations. So nagkaroon ng limitations, pagkakaroon ng malaking properties. Okay, so dapat they protect the farmers to have their own land. So they accumulated the wealthy people, yung mga mayayaman, na ilimit lang yung properties distribution. Okay? So nagkaroon din ng Land Registration Act of 1902. So nagkaroon ng torrent system. Yung torrent system na yan, nagpo-provide yan ng secure and efficient systems for land registration. Okay, nagkaroon ng pag-aari. Okay, so they already register the lands to the owner. So that is the torrent system. Then nagkaroon ng Public Land Act of 1903. So yung Public Land of 1903 is the homestead system. Yan is inaalaw niya yung mga farmers o pinapayagan yung mga farmers to acquire land na magkaroon sila ng land through homesteading. Okay, so that's public land. Meaning to say, kapag ka nag-stick ka dyan ng matagal na, the government will give you a chance to apply on that particular property and then sa'yo na. Yan, huwag ka stick ka ng 5 years, 10 years, you till the land, sinaka mo, ganun. Okay, so that's that's Public Land Act 1903. Then we have also the Tenancy Act of 1933. Yan is nagre-regulate to the relationship between landowners and tenants. So kung ako, may-ari ako ng isang property, ay isang sakahan or asyenda, tapos meron akong tenants na nagsasaka, then I have to protect the tenants. Kailangan ko bigyan ko siya ng bahay niya doon, kung anong needs niya, kung anong kailangan niya sa pagsasaka. So that's Tenancy Act of 1933. The negative impact lang of the torrent system is that uh, nagiging costly and inaccessible siya to many farmers. Kasi nga meron lang tayong limited resources at that time. Okay, so that's the negative impact. So proceed tayo to the Commonwealth period. After the American period, ng Commonwealth period, Okay, social justice program by Manuel Quezon. Manuel Quezon is the president during this time. Okay, nagkaroon siya ng social justice program to address growing social unrest. So maraming uh, nagka-claim ng other properties, so nagkaroon ng social justice program. So the impact of this social justice is to address social inequality. So dapat pantay-pantay, hindi may lamang or hindi malaki yung kanya. It should be pantay social justice. So the negative impact is that the legislation was enacted to control landlord tenants. Okay, so the implementation was often ineffective, hindi siya masyado napatupad, and marami pa rin farmers na napabayaan during that time. Okay, so during the Japanese occupation naman, nagkaroon ng Hukbalhap movement. So the distribution of the land to peasants, okay, was supported then, providing them greater control over the land and livelihood. However, nung natigil yung war, ang dami ng mga peasants na yan, the movement was later become conflict. No? Kasi nga, nawala sila no, sa radar ng Pilipinas. O nasa bundok sila, mga ganyan. Okay, so after that, the Japanese occupation, nagkaroon tayo ng post-independence. Nag-gain na natin yung ating independensya, naging independent tayo, nagkaroon na tayo ng Tenancy Law Revision. Yung Tenancy Act natin kanina. Nagkaroon ng revision. So the Congress revised the Tenancy Law to address the ongoing land tenure issues. Okay, para maiwasan yung pag-aari ng malaking properties. Yan. And then Manuel Rojas, the president during that time, enacted a legislation promoting 730 sharing agreements or arrangements and safeguarding the tenants from arbitrary eviction. Mean to say, the property should be the 70% from the owner and 30% to the tenants. So that is the sharing. Okay, so nagkaroon ng legislation and then nagkaroon ng arbitrary eviction promoting fairer sharing of the lands distributions. So the negative impact, the implementation of these laws was often uneven and nagkaroon pa rin ng continued challenges. During the time naman of Quirino, Magsaysay, Garcia, and Macapagal, nagkaroon ng Land Settlement Development Corporation. Okay, and then nagkaroon ng Reform Code o Agricultural Land Reform Code. Yung pag-a-abolish ng share tenancy, tinanggal naman ni Macapagal. Ang ginawa niya, nagkaroon siya ng set retention limitations. Nilimitahan lang niya yung pag-aari. Okay, so, ang positive impact naman nun, nagkaroon ng focus on resettlement. Binigay na sa mga tenants yung kanyang pag-aari nila. And by virtue of tenancy reform, nagkaroon ng agricultural credit sa magsasaka. Okay, so that is the positive impact. However, the negative was the implementation, yung pagpapatupad nitong program na ito is mabagal. Okay, so marami pa rin mga farmers ang nag-struggle o nahirapan and hindi pa rin nakaalis dun sa poverty line because of the access of resources. Limited lang access nila dun sa resources nila during that time. So, when Ferdinand Marcos Sr. became the president, ang marami siyang mga declared proclamations during that time. So nagkaroon siya ng Code of Agrarian Reform and the RA 6390. So yung RA 6390 na yon is nag-create siya ng Department of Agrarian Reform. So nagkaroon ng Agrarian Reform Special Account Fund. So the country was under the Land Reform Program. Binago niya, no? Nagkaroon siya ng reforma sa lupa. Ano ginawa niya? Nire-restrict na yung mga land reform and the tenanted rice and corn lands. Nag-strict lang niya yung mga rice farmers and the corn farmers. So the impact nito, the positive impact was the Agrarian Reform Program during that time aimed to redistribute the land to farmers and improve their lives. So binigyan niya kung anong dapat sa mga magsasaka. However, the negative impact was it was marked by the corruption and inefficiency, sabi nila. Okay, so it became daw a political manipulation, which lead to widespread discontent among farmers. Okay, so during the Aquino administration naman, nagkaroon siya ng CARP. So this is the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law. So ano nga ba ang ginawa sa CARP na yan? Institute siya ng Comprehensive Agrarian Reform. So yung declared niya the full ownership for qualified farmer beneficiaries. And then the mechanisms of implementing the CARP, mas nagkaroon siya ng implementation. Okay? So yung CARP na yon naging CARL, naging Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law. Yung CARL na yan, yung naging batas na siya, the piece of land, yung isang piraso ng lupa for legislation pagka may batas, gumawa sila ng batas na nagsasabi na yung lupa na yon is ibigay na doon sa nararapat na farmers na nagsaka. Okay? That is to promote social justice. Okay? Kung sinaka mo yun, yung property na yun, oh, that is yours. No? Sa'yo na yun. Okay? So that the implementation of CAR. Okay? So that is under the Corazon Aquino. Okay? So si Ramos na, Estrada, and Macapagal, including Aquino and Duterte, okay? Now let's see. So during the Ramos, nagkaroon ng Agriculture and Fisheries Modernization Act. Nung kay Estrada naman, ang kanyang program is the Magkasaka. So the program promote joint ventures between DAR and private investors in the agrarian sector. Nung si Gloria Arroyo naman, meron siyang GMA, no? Ginunto ang Masaganang Ani program. Okay? Tapos, nagkaroon siya ng land tenure improvements. Nagkaroon ng acquisition of distribution of lands. Nag-provide siya ng support services for extensions, no, credit assistance sa mga farmers, infrastructure developments, and trainings. Okay? So, during Aquino naman, nagkaroon ng CARP completion. Okay? Yung Hacienda Luisita na pag-aaral nila, it was distributed sa family niya. Okay, yung mga matagal na lang kine-claim sa Hacienda Luisita, no? Yung mga tenants ibigay, so naibigay. And then nagkaroon ng RCES, Agrarian Reform Community Connectivity and Economic Support Services. That is to reduce rural from the rural areas naman ito. And then the greening program. Hanggang ngayon pa rin, meron pa lang greening program, di naman natanggal yan. That is also the project of the DENR. Okay, during the time of Duterte, yan, public lands under CARP aim to place naman almost public lands including military reserves under agrarian reform. So kahit yung mga military personnel niya, binigyan niya ng land under agrarian reform program. So nagkaroon din ng anti-corruption task force. So that anti-corruption task force is created naman to investigate corruptions. No, kung corruptions nga bang nangyayari sa Department of Agrarian Reform. And then, of Plan Zero backlog. Okay, so dapat walang mga pending cases with regards to redistribution of lands. Ay nagkaroon ng fast track implementation of comprehensive agrarian reform program. Okay, so these are the key components of agrarian reform. First, okay, so we have land redistribution, land tenure security, support services, institutional support, and the infrastructure development. So these are the components for agrarian reform. Land redistribution means to say that the tenant should have acquired property of their own. Okay, so the land tenure security, give what is due, okay, through comprehensive agrarian reform. Support services, kung may kailangan ng farmers, give them trainings. What else? Abono, whatever that the government should provide. Institutional support, ganun din from the government. They have to support the farmers, especially kapag kulang na mga bigas, o kailangan mag-isip na kung anong other options. Okay, siguro pwede na tayo magpasok ng other gamit like technological advancements. So depende, kailangan nilang pag-aralan yan. They have to do research on how we do and other extensive agricultural programs, okay? Infrastructure development. So farm to market routes. So, kung malayo na yung sakahan, so to lessen the challenges, o why not create farm to market routes para mas mabilis yung transition ng goods and services. So that is the key components for the agrarian reform. To wrap up, agrarian reform in the Philippines, it was implemented throughout the Philippine history. So from pre-colonization, okay, to up to the present. So those impacts, no, the lives of the Filipino farmers has been mixed, while some programs have led improvements in the land tenure. However, access of resources medyo hindi pa rin okay. Meron pa rin corruption, there is inefficiency, there is political manipulation, yes. And this ongoing challenge is to implement land reform programs that are fair, equitable, and effective in addressing the needs of Filipino farmers and promoting justice, social justice. So that is your agrarian reform in the Philippines. We have finished already 3 topics. First is the Constitution, the different Philippine Constitution, the taxation, and the agrarian reform in the Philippines. Next week, hopefully, we will have the chance to meet our last meeting for this term, semifinals. I will rationalize all of the topics. I will give my best or 1 hour 30 minutes to rationalize all these 3 topics in preparation for your examination. So I hope you listen carefully. I hope you take down notes. Okay, those key points. Okay, because this is very beneficial and effective in your examinations later on. So that's all, and have a good day.